Val, it's the first episode of Wedding Chimes with Val.
Oh my gosh, that's true.
And I was thinking for our audience, we have to name them something, so why not Chimers?
I love the name. It's so cute. It fits. I think it shines.
Hey, let me chime in there.
Hi.
How's it going, guys?
We're good. Thank you.
Chimers, I really like that.
I like that name too, actually.
Thank you.
Yeah,
it's perfect.
It is.
It's perfect.
Well, that's what you do. You perfect people's moments, special moments.
Exactly, and that's what the episode's gonna be all about.
Yay! I'm excited.
That is awesome.
That is definitely awesome. So, how's everybody been? Are you ready to talk about some
Yes,
stuff
I'm ready.
wedding related?
Of course, I've been born ready.
Nice.
Wow, born ready.
Well, I do know that there's a lot of things to cover when it comes to weddings.
Of course.
And it's just one after the other. And like as brides, you're sort of all over the place.
Exactly.
You don't even know where to start.
It could be a lot. It could be so much. And that's why wedding planners are here for that reason.
I love it.
Well, you know what? I'm going to ask you guys to each take a moment and introduce yourselves and what brings you to this podcast and what you're going to offer and what we're going to talk about, just to kind of give all our chimers an idea of what our podcast is going to sound like.
Sweet.
So I would say, obviously, Val, take it.
Well, my name is Valerie, and everyone calls me Val, so you call me Val. And I am a wedding planner based from Montreal, and my company is actually named Vintage Luxe Events, but that's not the point. So I have many years of experience. I have studied in wedding planning and event planning, so I have a lot of experience. And basically, I'm here to help you plan your wedding. So no matter if you have any doubts, any questions, feel free to comment, ask all those questions, and I'm here for that to answer them all for you.
Amazing.
In a nutshell.
In a
nutshell.
And
That's a good nutshell, and there's so much to do. I can't believe you made it so abbreviated like that. So I'm Lisa, and I'm a podcaster, and I have the privilege to be sitting with a professional wedding planner.
Thank you.
No, thank you. I think it's a very eye-opening and it's a very touching experience. These are touching moments that you sort of sit back and say, wow. I find the day goes by so quickly.
It does. It really does for some couples. And I'm privileged to be part of the special day too.
That's great.
It's a moment I'll always cherish. And there's some weddings, I have to admit, I did cry because it was very touching. During the ceremony, I'm like, I just shed a tear. But it really depends. There's only, I think, 2 weddings that actually really shed a tear, and everyone in the room everyone was shedding a tear. Even the other vendors I was working with were shedding a tear.
Really?
Twice that happened.
Oh my God! Wow. So that means as a wedding planner, you get to see all these emotions.
Of course, and what's so nice is that I get to be there from the beginning, so I get to know the couple. So when it's their special day, I'm like, wow, we did it, we're here. This is what we wanted from the beginning, what they've been planning for even a year, 2 years even, depending on a lot of things, right? So it's a privilege to be part of their special day and to just be there witnessing that moment.
God.
It's something.
Well,
for sure.
as a bride, I know for a fact, because I am married, the day was just a complete cloud.
It goes
and it's
by
always
fast.
great to have somebody there to sort of reorient and
Exactly.
to refocus you on what has to be done and when.
Exactly. And like I said, the brides, like you said, they get so caught up in the day and their family maybe didn't see in 6-7 years. You don't know, right?
Yeah.
So, and as a planner, I'm like, okay, we have a schedule, but I try not to be pushy, but I make sure that everyone is on top of their thing and everyone is following the schedule. So the bride and groom, for them, it's just easy. They're like, okay, next thing. But if I see that they're dancing or having a moment, I'm not going to interrupt.
Oh, nice.
But I always okay, 5 minutes, I'm going to go up to them, to their table, okay, guys, don't forget in 10 minutes, we're doing, let's say, the first dance or the father-daughter dance, or whatever cultural thing, whatever, you let me know ahead of time and I make sure it's in that schedule.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So you're super uber organized.
You have to be. When it comes to a wedding day, it's so special that there's no mistake for errors. Of course, things happen. out of my control.
Yeah.
It did happen, and there's many more stories where that came from, but it does happen. The one I always say is the weather you can't predict, because if I could, I would change the weather. If I had that power, you best believe it'd be sunny, no matter what. But again, it depends on a lot of things, right? Weather is the least of my worries. You know, sometimes little things happen, little hiccups. Maybe a family member can't make it anymore. That was very close to the couple, and it did happen, unfortunately. I remember, was it last year, one of the brides, I think bridesmaids, got food poisoning the day before the wedding. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
It was bad. It was really, really bad. So she couldn't be at the wedding because she was sick in the hotel room.
Oh my
So, and out of town, and that person was from out of town too, so they were stuck in the hotel room.
Well, you know, I have to chime in here as
Yes.
well, guys, because the first thing is I'm going to introduce myself as well. I'm Steph. I'm Stefano. You can call me Steph. I've been in way too many weddings for a guy. But what I'm going to do in this podcast is, so I'm kind of like, you know, we've got two women talking about weddings. I also produce a kind of podcast, so I know that this could be like an 8-hour show, and I'm here to kind of keep them on track, and you know, to make sure that things go smooth, and that's what I'm going to be doing. But I also have experience in weddings. I play music, so I've been in like way too many weddings per year, like 50, 60 weddings a year at least,
Crazy.
and I will have you guys bring up the topic. I just wanted to add on to your story.
Yes.
Is that I literally had a groomless wedding. So
Oh, I believe you.
like literally
It doesn't surprise me. Like
the
it
groom,
wouldn't surprise me.
the groom woke up with COVID and did not show up to his wedding.
Oh
No.
So we had the groom, and we were at Entrepot Dominion.
Yes, very nice place.
And that's going to be my segue. But at Entrepot Dominion, we showed up there, and there was no groom. He just gave a speech through the video guy made sure we can have a screen, and he gave a little speech because he got COVID.
Oh my God.
It was already postponed once or twice because of COVID.
Yeah. Oh.
So they decided to go through with the wedding, and basically the groom was not there.
Was he
And he was broadcasted for about he did a speech for 10 minutes.
I was going to say
Right.
you need to have him
it was
there.
20 minutes that he was on a screen, and then
Okay.
that was it. They turned it off, and because he was sick, right? So we thought it was going to be the dead wedding. It was the biggest happening wedding.
And
People
you probably
fucking
missed
partied.
it. He's probably looking at the video.
It's like
It
no,
was
that's
hilarious.
my wedding. That's something. That
Yeah.
is something.
Now, speaking of Entrepot Dominion,
Yes.
this is a place where you can get married.
Exactly.
So today's topic, girls, what's today's topic on Wedding Chimes with Val? What is
it's
it?
gonna be about venues.
Nice.
Venues.
Yes.
We all need them.
You all need a venue. Yes, that is
Right.
true.
Well, you have to get married somewhere.
Yeah.
Now, what are the different types of venues?
So let me break it down for you.
I'm
so,
ready.
Do it.
Bottom line, what I tell everyone, the venue sets the tone for the wedding.
Okay.
And I'll give you an example. So let's say you just got engaged. Congratulations, you're all excited. And then comes the reality check. Where are you going to get married, right? You need somewhere to get married. So most of the time when it comes to that, what type of mood do you want for your wedding? So example, Entrepot Dominion is more that modern, industrial look, right? So if you like that look, everyone has different tastes, right? I'd say you want to go with the more modern industrial wedding.
Yeah.
So I'd say like you may be more into like the neutral colors, to bring what the venue has to offer. So you work with what the venue gives you.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
how I usually do it.
It's industrial. There's a lot of brick.
Exactly.
So it's a brick
stunning.
look.
I never
It's
done
a
a wedding
beautiful-
there yet. Hey,
Yeah.
if you want me to, you know where to find me. But it's on my
Chime in.
it's on my bucket list. But it's a stunning. I seen pictures stunning. All the exposed brick, the industrial look, too very modern. So that's more for the modern couple, right?
Okay.
And then you have other venues that are more, I want to say, classic.
Okay.
Like with the carpet still, the white walls, very elegant too. With the lights, the chandeliers, both very beautiful looks.
Yeah.
But it depends all on what the mood of your wedding wants to be, because that's the foundation of your wedding.
Okay.
And now speaking about venues, I find more and more couples do their ceremony there too.
Nice.
So
Very nice.
that's the thing with the venues, that some venues are picking up on that. Finally, it's about time because some in the past they didn't pick up. But now people don't want to have their guests traveling from point A to point B. Let's say if it's a church or another religious, place, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to go back and forth, back and forth. You want everything there, cocktail, ceremony, reception, all in one place. And some venues aren't big enough. So when you're looking for venues, you want to maybe consider, do they have another room for the ceremony? That could be then changed around for reception, because behind the scenes, I'm sure Steph, you've seen this before. It's the turnaround. They turn around the room. Usually could take a good hour, depending, even hour and a half, depends on what. So let's say if you have ceremony in the same room as your reception, they have to put the tables like in the back behind a curtain or something, and then they pull out the tables and then they fix it all up. Usually it takes an hour, so that's why cocktail hour is an hour. So they have to fix it up if needed.
Nice.
So that's where
As a vendor, I can't stand when they do it in the same room.
I'm so
because we have to, like, as a band, we have to set up.
It's true.
Yeah.
So
That's
if the ceremony's
true,
at 2, that means I've got to be there at like 12, 11.
even before.
Well,
the
setup crew has to be there like at 8.
Yeah, I can
And then at 2 o'clock, we have to stop because the ceremony's in that room.
Exactly.
And we just have to wait till, dinner.
They're
So
finished.
we're just sitting there. But
so back, and that's a good point too. So more venues are having a separate place for ceremony and a separate place for reception. So the setup crew, the vendors, they don't have to wait a long time.
Okay.
That's the best.
So that's the ideal situation for everyone, because all the tables are set up already and everything's taken care of.
That sounds great.
So that's one thing when it comes to venue. Do they have, if you want to get married on site, do they have a place?
Yes.
For, reception, cocktail, ceremony. And again, it all depends what you want. And I find the older venues don't have that.
Okay.
But the more up-to-date, modern, the one that done renovations, they have a separate place, because they see, well, why should they have to go around town when they could do everything in one place?
But that's ideal.
And I find more and more weddings are going to be like that as well, compared to maybe a few years ago, right?
Okay.
So, and I also find with the venues, they're renovating to be up to date, but some venues I find should just stay because they're beautiful for the way they are.
Yeah.
And then you have venues at hotels, right? The reception room. You can have venues like the
Outdoors,
tents.
even the outdoors.
Well,
My
that's
favorite.
it. Entrepot Dominion. So that's the thing about Entrepot Dominion. It's a little confusing because there's more than one venue there.
Yeah,
So Entrepot
there's a
Dominion
lot
is
of
when there's
little-
another. I can't remember the name of the other one. It's literally attached. But
I forget the name. I know what you're talking about, but it doesn't come to mind right now.
Yeah.
it's a different owner.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they also share an outdoor space.
Yeah, it's true. They have the outdoor usually for ceremony, cocktail, and then they go inside. Like, that's the vibe. I know what you're talking about, but I've seen pictures online just to...
It's very nice. I actually did a whole venue outside.
Oh, yeah. I believe you,
We did an engagement that was only outside.
Oh, that's
Oh,
nice.
nice.
If
Yeah, it's
weather
very nice,
permits,
very
of
nice.
course.
Absolutely.
So also you mentioned outdoor wedding venues,
Yes.
which is more likely they're tents.
Okay.
So most of the tents, how that works for that venue is you have your tent, your flooring, because you need flooring for a tent.
Absolutely.
So if you're planning an outdoor wedding at, let's say, your house or backyard, just get a tent. And basically what's nice with a tent to weddings that you get to build your own venue, like the look of it.
Nice.
Some venues like Le Cardinal, the golf course in Laval, they already have the tent set up with the flooring.
Okay, nice.
Already set up with the dance floor, and that's taken care of by I believe the Gentile group. They have that, they own that.
Okay.
But again, not all tented weddings have what they have. So if you're
Okay.
planning your own tented wedding in your backyard,
Yay.
get a floor. It's worth it. Get a floor because you don't want your guests on grass.
Oh.
Yeah,
could be rough. That
that's
could be rough.
something. And also for a tented wedding, you are protected under the tent. So even if it rains a little bit, you could close the side panels.
Okay.
And if it's not too hot outside, because most tents have AC, like that comes in, so you're not dying of heat if you close the panels.
Okay.
But some don't. So when you go for your venue tour, which again, very important for venues, venue tour, before you sign anything on the dotted line, the fine line, make sure you ask all your questions. Super important. Any question you might have, just ask, and it'll make your life a lot easier to make a better informed decision.
But is that what you would do when somebody comes to you? Would
Yes.
you help them with that process?
Yeah, and I
Okay.
love that so much, because some of my couples come with I want to call it a blank canvas.
Yeah,
They come
nice.
with me, we look at venues, and then I help them refine what they're looking for.
Okay.
And I know certain venues have what they want, so I'm like, okay, it's easier to pinpoint what you want, right? And then some come with me already with the venue, which is totally fine.
Nice.
Which
Okay.
it's okay to. I mean, I'm not I'm happy either way with that. And I tell them, when you went to the venue, what did you ask them? Like, are you happy with what you have, right? Because some of my clients, past and present, they come, they're like, oh, I picked the venue because my parents liked it, or I picked the venue because family obligations, right?
Yeah.
And you know, and I respect that too, right? But at the end of the day, if the venue that you like, it doesn't matter where you put its decoration.
Yeah.
Because I always say decoration can only hide so much.
You're right.
It can only mask certain things. So let's say the venue, I'll give the example of a tented wedding. Okay, let's say you have a tented wedding and you're like, okay, we like the tent, but I want to add fairy lights in the tent because some tented venues have fairy lights already.
Nice.
It depends which one, and some don't.
Okay.
So you have to pay more for fairy lights, right? And they could add up very quickly depending on your budget. So fairy lights, you're like, okay, but I want to add fairy lights to the walls. I want to add this. I want to add that. I want to basically mask what is already there.
Okay.
So you have to be okay with that. And that goes for any venue. If you love the venue empty with nothing, when you walk in there, when it's your venue tour, or even after you signed, and you say, I love it empty, then we're okay. But if you already say, I want to cover the walls, I want to add curtains to hide the walls, it's like, okay, why are we doing this, right? It's going to just add on more. And if your budget permits, then go for it. But I suggest strongly to couples not to do that because you picked that venue for a reason, because you like something about it, right?
Yeah.
And again, you have your own criteria. I always say, look at the washrooms at venues. Are they clean when they're not expecting anyone?
Oh,
that's
good.
a big thing
That's
too.
a huge one.
As if they're not taken care of, what are you looking at your wedding day? Right?
Yeah,
and
that's true.
and I always say look for toilet paper, like, because on your you want to make sure it's fully stocked even no one's there, right?
Yeah.
And you also look, did they clean the floors at the venue? So example, if your venue doesn't have like the carpet, right?
Okay.
Like, are the floors cleaned?
Okay, makes sense.
Because if they're expecting no one, is it presentable, the venue, right? Are the walls taken care of? Are the lights working, right? Like, are they on? So you look at that too when you're going to any venue, big, small, medium-sized venue. You want to look for these cues. That's super important.
Okay.
And many couples don't expect to look for at the washroom, right? Before you leave, saying, oh, I'm just going to go to the washroom. You look, okay, looks good.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I never even
and
thought
then
about that.
What's important is that people don't know the scope of the prices.
Yeah.
Because it's
yes.
let's just put a drape here and it'll cover the wall.
Cover the whole
A
or whatever,
draping, it adds up the size of draping, the fabric, to install, to dismantle.
It's
it
linear
takes time.
foot. It's sold by linear foot.
It does, yeah.
Holy
So
potatoes.
you can spend $2,000
More than 2,000.
Oh, easily.
Just to cover it. Oh yeah.
But
Right.
even the chairs.
The chairs too.
I know
Oh, yeah,
they
chair
sometimes
cover-
sell the chair
Yeah,
coverings.
so
and it's
and
exorbitant.
I'm happy you brought up the chairs too, because that's my next point. So when you go to a venue, look at the chairs, because some venues will say these are the chairs we have. Like, let's say they're a black standard conference chair.
Yeah.
And 90% of the couples are like, oh, we don't like it. So you have two options. So either A, you put a chair cover, but I find personally chair covers are not as popular anymore as they used to be maybe a few years back.
Okay.
Because chair covers, you can still see a bit of the material behind depending how sheer it is. So most couples rent chairs.
And it's not comfortable because you can't put your feet back. Like, you can't back up your legs.
Exactly, but it
Right?
depends what chair you choose. Some are comfier than others, so I always say go with the classic Chivari chair. Like, they come in different colors and they're pretty comfortable.
Yeah.
So if you go with that, go with the classic. Don't overcomplicate the chair. Again, depends on your theme, depends on everything, right?
Yeah.
But most venues would say, oh, we have these chairs and another chair example, so you could pick. But again, it's all what you want and if you're happy with that, because then that's another additional cost if you're not careful.
Okay.
And I know some venues say, well, oh, we're renovating, we might get new chairs. Okay, maybe they might be nicer. So you ask ahead of time, can we see a picture? And then,
Oh, very smart.
So it depends, right?
Yeah.
You never know, you might be in luck. But most couples do end up renting chairs.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, as a rule of thumb, I would say from my experience, there are venues where you can go and it's, we'll call it clé en main.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You walk
Yes.
in and basically they're going to give you everything. They might have 3 or 4 different chair covers, so you can pick one or two of
That's
them.
good. Those are the better venues. Like, okay, I could pick,
Yeah.
it helps.
So
it does help.
But the price is I don't want to say higher, but it is definitely.
Oh, yeah,
You've
'cause
got open
everything-
bar. You've got they cater to everything. So you show up, the room is ready to go.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's the
beautiful.
good. Yeah.
That's good. Or you can pay a couple $1,000s or maybe a bit more depending on the venue,
Mm-hmm.
and you get an empty room. Then you've got to coordinate,
Yeah.
got a company for your rentals. Who's bringing the chairs? Who's bringing
Yeah,
the tables?
and
who's
that's
bringing
where
the
a
cutlery?
planner comes in to help bring
Yes.
everything
So
together.
you could go to a caterer, but now you get the caterer. Okay, food. Okay, decor. I need
Yeah.
another company. That's especially where the planner.
Yeah.
But it
Yes.
is catered to your wedding.
That's more personalized.
it's definitely-
I do want to say, like,
Yeah.
if it's an empty canvas, basically you just have the room, like you just
Yeah,
mentioned.
exactly.
That's where you need a planner.
Yeah.
I'd say
Well,
more,
even if-
or in any case.
A planner is
Yeah.
good just so that you don't deal with anything
They
because
take
you don't
care of
want
everything.
to.
Exactly.
Right.
Pretty much, you tell me what you want. I give you the quotes. Okay, we're in budget. Everything's good. Let's go.
And,
Okay.
and the day of, right? The hey,
The most important
Where's the
part.
photographer? Let me call the photographer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's say the photographer's late. This is just an example. The bride is gonna like, hey, where are you? What's going on?
Yeah.
Like, the
You
bride
don't have-
and the groom,
Yeah.
You
they
don't
want
have
to
time
talk
for that.
They want
Yeah.
to talk to their guests. They're with people. They're your cousin.
That's the point. It's the
Planner's
wedding.
taking care of that.
Yeah.
Planner's taking care. Here, the limo's ready. Okay, get the limos ready.
Yeah,
You know,
very true.
You have a good experience.
Yes.
If you don't have a planner, it's not that you won't have a good experience, but it's busy as fuck, man.
You're not going to
You're
have time for
preoccupied.
yourself.
Yeah.
And I've witnessed, weddings I didn't plan, but when I was much younger, I noticed, I'm like, interesting how they're like the couples running around. They didn't have time to do anything,
Exactly.
And I'm like, interesting, but I was too young to realize there's no planner. Like I was way too young to even become a planner.
Yeah.
But, I realized a lot of like little things, like why are they so busy? Where are they going? Are they supposed to be eating? Like why are they running around over chasing,
Exactly.
So
Well, that's a lot. I mean, especially from a bride's point of view. Now, brides, that they always want to take over.
Yeah.
I guess we're notorious for that. Okay.
I mean, I had
woman,
I had brides, that had to give up control.
Yeah.
But what's nice is since I started working with them from the beginning, they're able to give up that control easier to me.
Good.
Because we built that relationship. Like, hey, trust me, I got your back, and I make sure I go over everything with them, the couple, before the wedding day, prior, at least a good month before, even a few weeks before, saying, hey, this is the game plan. We're okay. They sign off, and then we're good to go. And then speaking about venue, usually I'm the first one in the venue the wedding day
Oh, nice.
to make
Good.
sure the setup is going well, to make sure all the vendors are showing up on time, right, according to schedule, because if not, I do call them.
Nice.
And what I do is over the years, I'm like, let me have a group chat with all the vendors, so I just send one text message and then they all get it,
Okay.
So ahead of time I tell them like, hey vendors, you're gonna be in a group chat, so just pay attention to your phone.
Very nice.
Simple as that. So venue wise, I'm there the first one day of the wedding. More, if maybe the staff of the venue, then I usually come
Yeah.
a bit, whatever time they allow me to come at.
Okay.
There are so many things that a planner would know about that you just don't like. I can tell you which venues that you have to rent electricity.
Yeah, some.
Oh my
Yeah,
God,
some you
really?
have to. Yeah.
Yeah, like so we'll get the call, as a DJ band or whatever, and they're like, and I'm like, okay, so who's renting the power? And they're like,
Yeah.
what do you mean? You guys got to bring it. I was like, well,
Yeah.
I'm not Hydro Quebec. I don't
You're
bring
not.
power.
Yeah. Some need more power. Some need more extension cords. Some. It
But
depends on the
some
venue
you
too.
don't, you
Yeah.
don't have electricity. Like they
Yeah.
charge for electricity.
I know
goodness.
some tented weddings, like if you have one in your backyard, you need more power.
Oh,
you
yeah.
need like a mini generator, so you have to either buy it or rent it. In some cases, yeah.
But with a generator, you've got gas going.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
You
it
have to
can't be-
keep it
you gotta
safe.
keep it away
Yeah,
far
not
because
near.
you're
Yeah.
gonna-
Yeah, it's gonna be. You're gonna hear it. So some, do that option, which is fine, but you have to keep it. Even some, like let's say tented weddings,
Yeah.
like even let's say example in your backyard or a remote location, you have to rent washrooms too.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Porta
Yeah,
potties.
porta potties,
True.
and you don't want the blue ones. So
My
there's
God, there's a venue here in Montreal, and it's beautiful. It's a beautiful wedding.
Yeah.
On Devonshire, what's it called? The Jardin.
Royalmount.
Jardin Royal. It's a
I
beautiful
think
venue.
they're closing too, Royalmount. I heard somewhere.
Well, they close for the winter and then they open in the
Yeah.
summer.
Okay. Yeah. So okay.
It's
yeah.
beautiful.
So,
Their bathrooms.
Yeah.
Their bathroom. They don't have bathrooms.
Yeah.
they have
I
a
heard
truck.
that once, I think. Yeah.
But it's a gorgeous bathroom.
Yeah, it's
No,
a fancy.
truck.
It's a fancy truck.
It's a
and
fancy
they
truck
have the
that-
fancy washrooms.
It comes, they park it, and it's a fancy. It's a porta potty, but like a fucking
a
deluxe.
disguised porta potty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
An epic looking.
Super nice. At the end of the night, the guy, I remember I chased him. Hey, I got to piss. I was like, no, I'm telling you, let me pee before.
Please stop.
You know, yeah.
From a bush.
But yeah, just to say,
Yeah,
you
there's
need
a
to-
lot.
There's a lot to think about, and every venue's different. So
It depends, and that's where it comes back. What type of vibe do you want for your wedding?
Yeah.
Do you want people in the porta potty, even though it's a fancy
Yeah.
one? Just imagine.
do you want a view? Sometimes you want a view.
Yep, that's very true.
Sometimes you want. Do you want a possibility if it rains?
Yeah, that's another thing too.
Like,
for some
Chateau
yeah.
Vaudreuil, you're ready to
Beautiful
go.
view.
Yeah,
It is beautiful.
It's stunning. You
Gorgeous.
can't go wrong. You have the outside, you have 3 different options, I think, for
Yeah.
where you're
And the
you're-
hotel. The hotel
Yeah,
is all
and you're in there too, so you have the view. You don't have to leave. You have your view,
Yeah.
your ceremony by the water, let's say hypothetically,
Yeah.
and then or inside if it rains,
Yeah.
you're ready. And cocktails you could do outside too if you want, or
Yeah.
indoors. It
yeah,
depends
and
on.
you can sleep there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you have all the upstairs, so
It's,
it's very convenient, you
Yeah.
know. And the nice part is you don't have to go downtown for pictures. You have the water right there, and you have the little
Exactly.
bridge. You
beautiful,
have.
yeah.
I did a wedding there. It was that day. I'll never forget the wedding that I did there. Literally, we were saved by 20 minutes because the wedding after was pouring rain.
Oh my
I
gosh.
think it was in July. The wedding. I think it was in July, last July, and it was announcing rain the whole day. So we're like, okay, if anything, we're ready to go inside.
Yeah.
No problem. So we were spared by 25 minutes to have the ceremony. So the poor officiant had to pick
Hurry
up
up,
the
bro.
pace, had to pick it up.
Do you?
And I was behind him like, hurry up. I'm like, hurry up, just stop. Just get to the point. Sign the papers. And go on. You know, because the couple wants to take pictures after the ceremony. So literally within a span of 25 minutes, he was short and sweet, thankfully. Then the photographer went with the couple around to take pictures.
Oh,
And then I felt bad for the other bride afterwards. It was pouring rain.
Yeah.
It was like when I mean bad, I mean like there was like the water rising from the river.
Oh my god.
It was bad.
That is
it was
intense.
bad. So like they had to do the ceremony. They had a tent behind, so they had to do it in there, which was fine.
Yeah.
But still, you know. So basically, yeah. So we were lucky. Stunning venue, by the way.
And see other stuff like if you're gonna have an officiant,
Yeah.
Yes.
who takes care of the microphone.
Yeah.
Some venues will provide a microphone with speakers so that
Yeah,
you can
some,
hear.
it depends.
Some don't. So like a planner will definitely help you say, okay,
Exactly,
this venue
yeah.
you're gonna need to rent, $500.
More additional things.
You give more of a scope as to what
like
would be
realistically,
needed.
yeah.
Like-
exactly.
We get the call sometimes, and it's like, hey, we need a microphone. We need a microphone for the
Officiant.
for
yeah.
the efficient, and it's outside. And I feel guilty, but it's like, well, I have to charge you.
You have
Wow,
to-
just bring an
yeah.
extra mic. Well,
It doesn't
it's
work
not.
like that.
I don't just bring a mic and I talk out of it and
Doesn't
sound
work. Yeah.
happens.
You have to set it up,
Yeah.
plug it in, find the power source.
Well, you
where-
need a
yeah.
speaker,
Yeah.
and the
And the
speaker
speakers
needs
too,
power, and so it's
Everything needs more power, basically.
it's $500. Like you're
Yeah.
gonna spend $500 just for that 45-minute ceremony.
Or you ask your DJ to bring more. So the same thing at the end of
But
the
he's gonna charge you.
he's gonna charge
I
you.
hope he's gonna charge.
no matter what, you'll be paying additional for the
But
out.
some venues have it. Some venues are set up.
I
that-
find more do have it because some couples maybe don't have a DJ, and I had weddings that don't have a DJ or a band or anything.
Oh.
Yeah, I did a wedding.
Let's not
like-
talk about that.
Yeah.
It's not a possibility.
Yeah, so different topic, different time, but venues should, I find venues, in my opinion, should have the bare minimum.
Yeah.
Like, because you never know, right? I
Yeah.
feel that they should, have a bare minimum microphone and speakers, just the basic. And
Yeah.
just the basic setup, nothing fancy.
It's, people don't know how to use it, and
That's
they
very
break it.
true,
They
yeah.
break it like it doesn't last
Oh, yeah.
a month because people have absolutely no idea.
That's very
And,
true. Or they set it up
Falls.
ahead of time, that'd be ideal, but, at the end of the day,
But some do. There are venues that will
Yeah.
take care of everything, and
Yeah.
some venues
those are the
like-
venues that I love to work at because it's everything runs smoothly. It's like
Yeah.
I just give them the plan, like, here, I'll show up at 9 o'clock.
I want to
you.
see everything done.
Yeah,
But-
I will see you at 9 o'clock in the morning.
But in terms of a budget,
Yeah.
When somebody comes to you and they say, well, this is sort of the budget we're looking for, or even if they're not sure,
Okay.
how do you know what to propose for them if
So-
they're not sure what venue, but they have more or less of an idea?
What I like to do is I always go back on old quotes from the venues that I worked with the year before.
Okay.
Because I have everything in a folder, like per client. So I have client A, B, C, D, let's say.
Yeah.
And I have all their invoices, so I have a better idea of what they paid, right?
Okay.
So again, the prices probably went higher, but it's at least a number, right?
Yeah.
So let's say if they want something similar, I'm like, hey, last wedding I did this, what they spent, and they got this, that. They picked this food choice, so they have an idea of what.
Okay.
And I'm very honest and upfront with them too. I don't like to sugarcoat anything. So I'm like, this is what you're gonna be paying, even a bit more because of prices went higher. So at least they have an idea where to cut, or if they want to keep that same, type of wedding, that's what they're gonna be paying them more, because everything does go up. So I try to keep certain venues that I know are popular more than others. So I have an idea of what, even before we go see the venue, I could give them an idea saying this is what you're gonna be paying around.
Oh, nice.
And
okay,
even
good.
and if it's in their price range, we'll go see it. But if it's not, I'm like, we're pretend it won't even exist.
Okay.
Because I don't want to bring their hopes down either.
Well, it is right now, I believe, something like Chateau. I don't want to throw prices out, but I know like something like Chateau Vaudreuil, you're probably going to surpass $300 a person.
Probably.
It depends.
Like
I believe last time I was there, it depends on the price.
Yeah, there's different menus.
Yeah, but I know the most expensive one, I could be wrong, I think was around that price.
Yeah, it's
and they're only going higher.
Oh yeah.
So at the end of the day, you're gonna be paying that and even a bit more.
But so you pay one price, but everything is taken care of.
Pretty much.
So I mean, again, that's a higher end venue.
Yeah, it depends on
there's
what.
other venues like that are not as expensive.
Exactly, and you get to pick, and it's really what you want from the venue. So when I meet a client, I'm like, write me down what you want in a venue. Ideally, if you had no budget, what would you want? And what are you willing to give up at a venue? So let's say a couple example comes to me saying, we really love the Old Port, we want a view of the Old Port. Well, you have a bunch of venues right there, all the hotels. That's a beautiful place.
Yeah. Very nice.
That's a really nice. That's on my bucket list too, by the way. So
but I can tell you, parking is
it's
$28 a car.
It's something else. Parking.
It is something else.
That is something else.
They can include that in the budget.
It's like, hey,
they don't. You can't.
They don't.
So most venues that we play, they'll have parking passes.
Yeah, you have, but not for everyone. It's like limited parking passes.
No, it's like you pay, and then if you want, you have to ask the bride and groom.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You got to pay your parking. So we got to make a separate bill just for the parking. Because we're 10 musicians, right?
It's true. It adds
so
up.
$300 is just parking.
You have to add on to that cost. So that's another thing. So the list, like, what do you want realistically? Do you want a view? You don't care. You just want good food. If you want good food, well, I could name you half that don't have, let's say, the best food, right?
Yeah.
Because as a vendor, I do eat a meal, and then I know on my camera roll, I do a thing. I'm like, all the good food, I take a picture, and I'm like, and I send that to my parents. I'm like, hey, this is what I'm eating tonight.
Oh, nice.
This is my dinner for tonight.
Sadly, I can tell you every venue what they serve and how good it is, because I know what I'm going to eat before I get there.
Yeah, I learned too. I learned over time, like, the venues and the food. I'm like, hey, I'm eating a good meal tonight. I'm like, good. This is what I'm waiting for the whole day. But that's the reality, right?
Yeah.
Like, I do have snacks, water, juice, coffee, a lot of coffee, because I need coffee to function on wedding day.
It's a good meal, though.
But it's always good. Like, I'm always happy with what at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah. But again, back to that. If a couple likes, we want good food, well, okay, we focus on the food, not the venue, the look.
Okay.
But then most couples want it all. They're like, I want a nice view for pictures. I want a nice view for this.
Of course.
I want the beautiful view of the river for ceremony and cocktail. On the
grand
rooftop,
staircase. Yeah.
on top of it all, I want the best food in town. I want all the decor. I want all the flowers you could possibly have. Okay. So
then you come with the bill, and they're
so
like,
then
"Ooh."
it's like, okay, what are you actually willing to pay? And that's, I find this taboo to talk about, but that's the reality when it comes to weddings.
Yeah.
And I always tell all the couples, past and present, that I had, what are you really planning to spend? Like, realistically, what is the number? Like, what's the magic number? And I had in a few instances, I had a few couples book a venue before I got into the picture, before they hired me, and they changed the venue because they didn't know that venue was even an option. And they ended up saving a bit of money, like not much, but a bit. So it could happen too, right? Like, maybe you find a venue, but then you talk with a planner, like, hey, I didn't know that was even an option, or I didn't see that one online, right? Because again, ads, venues advertise wedding shows, they push certain venues, right?
Yeah.
So maybe there's a hidden venue you never heard about, like, hey, I really like this one. So there we go, right? So it really comes down to that, so venue, write a list of what you really want and you don't want to give up. and then say, well, what am I willing to give up in a way just to have that venue, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I say is the best advice when it comes to a venue.
It is the most
Concrete.
important
Yeah.
thing. I think it's, it's one of the most important. I think it's the first
Yeah.
thing you should look into.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the venue is the first thing. Yeah.
Especially if your heart is set on one. Because
And
sometimes
that's
you
the
can
thing
have your heart
I
set
met
on one,
is
right?
so true, and I met a few couples even before they got engaged. They've been to other weddings. They're like, oh, we really like this venue, but it doesn't have the view we want. We don't want the highway view, or we don't like the walls,
Yeah.
or oh, the dance floor is out, like the color is dirty.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, we could wrap the dance floor, like they could put that like the
Yeah,
floor
they put
wrap,
that plastic.
but that's an additional fee, right? Because you have to find a
course.
company. Anyways,
You could rent a dance floor
yeah,
as well.
and
There's-
that
there's a
too.
lot
It
you can
just
do.
you could fix it, but ideally that's not the case, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, what are you willing to give up just to have your venue, right?
Yeah.
And there's some, like I said, couples there before you even got engaged. They're like, we love this venue. We don't care. We want it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My friend,
Okay.
a friend of mine got married. She really, really enjoyed Chapel Charm. I don't know if you've ever seen
Oh yeah,
Chapel
it's in
Charm?
Laval. Yeah.
In Laval.
And over there, yeah.
It's basically an old church. The guy lives there. He bought it as a church, and he lives there.
Okay, I didn't
But the
know.
back
okay.
of his house, he has a little venue,
Oh,
and you
That's
fit
pretty, yeah.
50 people.
yeah, it's more intimate. Yeah.
So she cut like 100 people that
Oh,
were
yeah.
probably invited just for the venue
the
because
venue.
it was like, okay, I'm sorry I can't invite your kids.
Yeah.
Because she really liked it, and it was very nice.
And that's okay too.
Yeah.
I
It
was
mean, when
quaint
it comes
and it
to
was a
that,
very nice
it's
wedding.
it's what you really want, right? Because I
Yeah.
have some couples that want the biggest venue, this, and that's okay too. Like, there's no wrong or right when it comes to
because
weddings.
it's your wedding.
Well, it depends on
Exactly.
how many invitees you have as well, how many guests.
and the venue, they have like a capacity too, right?
Yes.
Some venues, like let's say Chapel
Chapel
Charm,
Charm.
you have 50,
yeah.
and some
55 chairs. That was it.
there we
Okay.
go. So, and then you have some venues that are like, oh, you can have up to 300.
Yeah.
So there's not a lot of places in Montreal, to my knowledge, that have up to 300.
Yeah.
Some you have a minimum. So some,
Yeah.
if you want a specific room, they tell you you need
need
300
100
or more.
Usually, or some is like 100 to
Yeah.
200 and
Yeah,
200, and
Yeah.
So it really depends. Are you willing to have 300 people? Example.
Yeah.
You know,
that's it.
if you have a big family and you're like, it is what it is, then fine. Go for it. You
Yeah.
know, I'm not going to stop you, right? So it really depends on when the clients come to me, what part they're at the wedding planning too, right? Some, like in the beginning, the venue, oh, that's the fun part, seeing the venues. And I know the managers, I'm like, hey, how's it going? You know, it's like a long time no see, right? So it's nice to catch up with them too, right? The venue managers. But some couples, like I said, already have the venue, and that's okay. I go from there.
Yeah.
And that's okay too, you know?
So to segue,
Yeah.
of course, venue, most important, one of the most important. That's why it was
Moments.
our first podcast.
Yes, exactly.
Wedding Chimes with Val, we wanted to discuss venues.
Yes.
Very
And
important.
we kind of, of course, anyone who has questions, feel free to comment. We're on social media. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram.
Yes,
on
very true.
YouTube. Write
Instagram
comments.
too.
If you have
Yes.
questions, Val will definitely get back
I'd
to you.
love to give you
it's
advice.
really cool. If you have, you even just want advice on certain places, we will
Sure,
eventually, on Wedding Chimes with Val, have some vendors come on the show and talk
Yes,
about
that'd be
their
very
venue
fun,
or
yeah.
their. Definitely, it's going to happen. So, but now I want to segue because every episode, we're going to have certain segments that we want to do.
Yes.
Yes.
We're going to end off the show, and that'll be later because we have a segment before we do the ending. The end is always Val's thought of the day.
Yes.
Yes.
So that's coming up. But before we get there, we found this segment was super important. And it's going to be Val's first dance.
Oh, I love a good first dance.
It's so.
You can't go wrong.
That's when you start bawling. You're like, oh my god.
So you,
Yeah,
so you
very
mean you
true.
can't do Stairway to Heaven like when I was in high school and try to make out for 7 minutes?
Oh, God,
Come on!
Vanny. This is a sentimental moment,
It's a little
Vanny.
more
Oh, sorry.
personal, just a little bit more personal.
Yeah, but
You
then you have
always-
the confetti and
No,
all
what-
that.
Sparklers,
the sparklers.
depends on the venue
Yeah.
too.
Or you get those old almonds that are thrown at your head and
That
give
was
you a
old school.
concussion. Ooh.
That's your
Yeah.
that's in your
It's like,
time.
I love that concussion. Oh man.
So do we have a song, Val,
yes.
this week?
And it's one of my favorites. It's Hero by Enrique Iglesias.
Ooh.
One of my favorite songs.
He
Yes.
was here. He sang live
Okay,
last
couple of
week.
days.
And I was there at the concert.
Did he sing to you? I can show you pictures. A friend of mine was like literally hanging out with him.
Oh,
cool.
nice.
You know Nadia Catino? She's an actress.
She sounds familiar.
She's an actress. And
I
she's a friend of mine.
was there. I was there.
Oh,
She
yeah?
has. She
Not
was.
in the front, but I was there.
No, she totally hung out with him. It's like Enrique,
That's
my friend,
nice.
and hugging, and I was like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, it was a good concert. It was worth it. It was nice.
So you like that song? Is there a reason why?
I don't know. I just always liked it, and I only had one wedding that they played that song.
Okay.
So I figured that if you want a first dance song, you should go with that song because it's very nice. I don't know. It's a nice song. I find it's like not too fast, not too slow. You know, it's just, you know, and it depends on your theme of the wedding too. But I find that song I never hear at weddings. So
Oh, wow.
why
That's
not?
different.
I only heard, I think, one time
You
at
know
a
what's
wedding.
funny?
Yeah.
Maybe we should do. So we can't really play the songs. I would love to play the song, but
Right.
we're gonna
Yeah.
get hit with copyright. I'm like, as we're going, I'm like, maybe we should do like a karaoke. We all sing.
Go for
a
it,
verse
Donnie.
of,
Go.
I
You-
can
you-
be your hero, baby. I got the rasp too.
There you
right?
go.
Got the raspy
Move
that's
over,
happening.
Enrique.
And Enrique, who? What?
But
Chime in.
But it is a good song.
And I find that like many couples don't use it because I
Yeah.
find
Yeah.
they're more into the modern songs.
Yes.
You know, and they want to be on trend, but sometimes for your wedding, you don't really have to be all on trend for because again, social media plays a big part, right? So you're like, oh, you go and, you know, Google top 10 wedding songs. I'm sure it's not even there.
But you know what? Some people have their own songs. Like some people
Exactly, yeah.
grow together as a couple and they have their own
And
songs.
that's true too. So even stick to that song, whatever song that was.
Yeah.
You know what's funny? I have a funny story because a friend of mine. So there's this song from John Legend. What's his name?
All of Me.
All of me.
Yeah.
So that
I heard
song.
that
Yeah.
many times.
Okay, well, that's the funny part is I played that song at a wedding,
I know it's coming.
and my friend. No, it's not one of those stories. So my friend, this song
Yeah.
was literally released for like 3 years.
Huh.
So a buddy of mine heard it and fell in love and said, "Oh my god!"
Right.
So he plays the song because he thinks
It's-
no one else is ever gonna play it,
Oh, no.
and it's in his wedding video, and it's
Yeah.
a year later. It takes off in weddings.
Wow.
And I think it was played in every fucking.
Yeah, I
because I
feel-
tried
yeah.
to be original and take a song that was never played at a wedding.
true.
And now every single
All it
fucking
takes
wedding.
is one wedding,
Yeah.
and it takes off. So that's my thing. I haven't heard it yet, only that one time.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
And
Okay.
so maybe it might take off. I don't know. I know there's been so many songs that have been played, you know, but definitely that song I feel like it hasn't really been played. So if you're looking
Yeah.
for something off the box, maybe a bit more old school, there's even a Spanish version.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yes,
it's like
yes.
it depends on the vibe.
Romantic.
And then you start the dance floor with Bailamos.
Exactly. There we go.
There you go.
Perfect. There we go.
So now, Val,
That's
what you're gonna
awesome.
do
Oh my
now?
God.
What you're gonna do now, Val, is you're gonna look into your camera,
Yes.
stare right into it, and you're gonna give Val's thought of the day.
So, for the thought of the day, I have to say enjoy all the moments during wedding planning because before you know it, it'll be your big day and it'll just all disappear, all the planning. So,
Soak it in.
Soak,
Soak it in.
Soak all the planning, soak all the calls with the vendors, soak the venue tour, soak tasting the menu, your cake tasting, whatever tasting you're doing, because before you know it, will be the wedding day, and then before you know it, it'll just disappear, and you'll be like, oh, remember our wedding a week ago, or oh, a year ago, and you're looking back at the video or the picture, so
Yeah.
trust me, soak it all in, even the good and the bad parts of wedding planning, because there's some little not so fun parts, but definitely take it all in, because before you know it, it'll be gone.
And then after your wedding, you soak it in, and then after your wedding, you watch our podcast,
There we go.
and then you reminisce about your wedding.
There
Thank
we
God
go.
I watched Wedding Chimes with Val and got all these ideas.
Lisa, maybe you should have a thought of the day. How about that?
I
Yes.
have no thoughts.
think of a wedding thought of the day, Lisa. The camera's on you.
Think of just put me on the spot, Vanny.
I know. You can. You have a thought.
You got it.
Get
I have
sentimental.
many thoughts.
Get sentimental. I can be your hero, baby.
Now you're gonna make me cry. It's not sentimental wise. No, I guess it's just be aware, be in the moment, and don't be afraid. You know, because I know a lot of people, I guess, in the moment of the vows, they get nervous and they're afraid, and they say, "What if I flop? What if this?" You just take your moment.
Take it.
Take the moment, and you know, absorb it, but make it last. Not an eternity because you have the partying afterwards, but just take those few minutes and just sort of gather yourself,
take
because
those
that is that
moments
one
in, yeah.
moment that you can't repeat.
That's very true.
So just make sure that you harness it and make sure you're true when you say those words, and everything else will follow. And then you'll feel better afterwards.
Less stress. You'll have all the emotions out of the way,
Exactly.
and then you'll be ready to party.
And just make sure that when you have to make a hair appointment, yes, you are waking up at 5 a.m. That's going to be another thought of the day. You will wake up at 5 a.m.
Yeah,
You will have bags.
That is what
But
it is.
the makeup artist can fix it all, but the
Can work
hair
magic.
has to be very important.
Oh, yes.
I have a thought of the day.
Yes.
Get drunk as early as you can. It fucking
So then you will
works.
remember who you married.
You remember everything. And then you get the looks from your parents, or the bride is like, you prick.
That's it.
That actually happened to one of the weddings I did, actually.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
I was hammered on the altar, I'm not gonna lie. I got divorced after this. But I swear to God, I was hammered the first time. I was completely hammered on
my
the altar.
God.
Anyway, I just thought I'd make a funny here, but it is true.
Okay.
I was red and hammered.
Wrecked.
Because in the limo, we had like 5-6 shots.
Oh, my God.
We finished a bottle of grappa, and I shouldn't have. That's all I'm saying.
But the limo was another episode.
Another episode.
Anyhow,
So that's fantastic.
now
Oh my
we
God.
know. Now we know why that marriage didn't work.
My God. But anyway, we can always leave it up to you for a grand finale.
Yes.
You got it.
There you go. So that would be our podcast for today. Oh my
Yeah.
God, we could go by talking about this
Oh,
forever.
it could be
That's
never
our pilot,
ending.
guys.
That's our pilot. And we've launched, man. We're in orbit here.
True, we
That's
are.
awesome.
That was
To
so
all our
fun.
chimers, let us know what you think.
Yeah.
Feel
Chime
free. Chime in.
Yes.
Chime in.
Chime in. Alrighty. So, guys, we'll see you. Check us out on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, because there is a channel.
Yes,
Subscribe,
there is a
subscribe,
channel.
yes.
Subscribe.
Subscribe. The roof is on fire. No, that's really old. Don't say a thing. We have to have a moment of laughter.
We
when
have
leave.
to.
We have
We
to.
must.
Because we're not drinking. Our producer is.
You got that right.
See?
I try to provide
Better
the
end of that stick.
I try to provide the wedding vibe by bringing a few drinks. What do
There
you
you
want to
go.
do? There you go.
Where are ours, Manny? Oh, yeah, there they are.
Yeah.
There you
Okay,
go.
we have water. So thank you guys for tuning in.
Thank you.
Wedding Chimes
With Val.
with Val. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.